For the H2B temporary worker program, what kind of evidence and documentation will the government require to establish that the employer's need for the temporary workers is a seasonal need? I'm immigration attorney Christopher Gaston at the Gaston Law Firm in Stuart, Florida. The H2B program requires that an employer establish that a need is temporary. One of the bases for a temporary need is showing that an employer needs the workers on a seasonal basis. Now, oftentimes when we think about seasonal, we think about season as in periods of the year on the calendar, fall, winter, spring, summer. And that can be a seasonal basis. Sometimes the need for workers do follow a calendar year, but it doesn't have to be. The seasonal need can be just a cyclical period in the employer's workflow where there's a period of time during the year where the employer has a temporary need for more workers, and at other parts of the year, the employer doesn't have the same level of need. So that can be the season for that particular employer. The way the government assesses whether a need is seasonal is by documentation and evidence that the employer provides, such as payroll records to show that the employer has, in the past 2 years, had more workers during a particular season of the year, a particular time of the year, than other parts of the year. The government can also look at revenue records. The government can look at whether the employer has an increased need for inventory that period of time, or if there's a increased client demand by looking at the number of appointments or bookings, maybe, or reservations at a restaurant. So these types of things can be important. In addition, we can use other kind of external types of evidence, such as government records, traffic reports, travel records, things like that, that show that during a particular time, there's an increased number of the type of customers or clients an employer has frequenting that area. And this is often common for hospitality businesses, hotels, restaurants, and so forth. Or we can use it for businesses such as construction, showing that during maybe the winter months in the northern part of the country, construction, it's too cold for construction work, so the need for the workers is much lower. And during the summer months when it's warmer in the northern area of the country, the need for construction workers is greater. The types of evidence and the amount of evidence that you need is case specific, and it's important to start gathering that evidence in advance. And to expedite things, you want to try to file all of that evidence with your initial filing. Otherwise, the government is going to issue a notice of deficiency, or what, as we call them, a nod, for requesting that type of evidence of the temporary nature and seasonality of the need for the employer and wanting us to produce that type of evidence. If you have questions about an H2B program that you would like to establish or continue at your business, contact the team at the Gaston Law Firm. You can reach us at 772-219-0101, or you can find us on the web at www.gastonlawfirm.com. At the Gaston Law Firm, we're building American futures.